Hello, welcome back to Primal Prepper. If this is a return visit for you or your first time, not necessarily in that order, we're gonna talk about your basics. Okay, food, water, gear, and shelter. Basically, this is just going to be a quick, brief one, just to sort of uh, get a rough grip on what you need. Okay, sort of like a rule of thumb type idea, if that makes sense. And so let's start with the first thing you need to survive, to live, and that's air, oxygen. Okay, well, this isn't one you would really take into account while prepping. It does depend on what sort of prepping you are undertaking, what you think is your big disaster, which you are prepping for. Possibly in the case of a nuclear event, be that a meltdown at a plant or a fallout conflict, then yes, you might need some sort of breathing apparatus. And again, possibly if you are prepping along a volcanic idea with maybe a mega volcano erupting in your vicinity, maybe again you would need some sort of breathing apparatus, especially if you are going outside. But on a whole, for most things people will be prepping for, you don't need to worry about oxygen. There is plenty of it in our atmosphere, even with the whole climate issue going on, and we have to cut down on the CO2, blah blah. There is still plenty of oxygen out there for us to breathe. Okay, and so that leads us on to the second most important thing for life, which will be water or fluid. Okay, so on average, the average man would need about 3.7 to 4.5 litres of water. That would be about 6.5 to about 8 pints of water. And we're talking somewhere in the region of about 125 fluid ounces. Okay. Or for 5 bottles of wine, if you're a wine drinker. That gives you some idea, some sort of scale of how much you need. So basically, two 2-litre bottles per day should be enough for your average intake of water for a man. If you are a woman, it needs to be about 2.7. That's about 4.5, 4 3/4 pints, somewhere in the region of about 95 ounces. And that would be about 3 3/4 bottles of wine, or 1 2 litre bottle of drink and 2 smaller bottles of drink. Okay, like the lunch size ones. Okay, so to be more precise, it roughly works out to be about ½ ounce to an ounce of liquid. And obviously, I'm getting all my information off the internet, so I'm dealing with whatever measurements they want to give for that. And unfortunately, I don't know how many ounces go into a pint, although I have got some bits in front of me. I could work it out, but yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, it works out to be about ½ ounce to an ounce of liquid per pound, and that will be at a resting state. So if you're just sitting around doing nothing all day, and you weigh in like I do at a horrible 200 pound, I have to do something about that. Yeah, I'd be looking to be drinking somewhere between about 100 to 200 ounces of water, which would roughly equate to be, well, about the 3.7 litre mark up to, well, maybe 5 to 6 litres mark. Okay. Oh, actually, if the 3.7 is about 100, and well, it's 125 ounces in it. But anyway, that's not beside the point. Now, contrary to popular belief, things like tea and coffee, although they are diuretics, which basically means they will help you dehydrate or cause you to dehydrate, there is not enough of a dehydration effect from tea or coffee to counteract the hydration effects of the actual liquid itself. And when it comes to sort of government advice, they sort of say you can survive on about 1.2 litres of liquid a day. Okay, as a general rule, liquid comes in all sorts of different ways, and you can have it in tea, you can have it in coffee, as I've already mentioned. Milk, sort of it, that's more of a liquid fat, but it's still got a liquid content to it, so it would still help with your hydration a little. The more you drink, obviously you can get to a point where you can over drink liquid or water, and in a short span of time, and actually cause yourself hydroxema or something like that. It's basically you poison yourself with water. Yeah, get that. But if you're sensible about it, if you're drinking maybe 6 to 8 litres, which would be, I don't know, about 12 pints, 12 to 14 pints, or about 10 bottles, like wine bottles of water or liquid, then it is actually better for your digestive tract and your health generally. Because although you think most of your fluid actually comes out of your body in the way of urine, yes, it does, but it sweats as well, which loses some. And the more liquid you have to spare, the more liquid your body can then put into the digestive tract, which will make your digestion tract easier. It means you have less solid stools, and maybe you don't have to sit there for so long or heave so much, which can both have their own health issues going with them. Okay, so after we have liquids to keep us alive, we have water. No, we've just done water. We have food. Okay, the daily recommended calorie intake on average, and obviously I do have this thing about averages. The only place averages really work really well is maths and science. Okay, in life they don't work. We're all different. None of us are average. I'm burning more calories sitting here doing this video than you're burning sitting there watching it. Okay, so on average it's 2,500 calories per man, 2,000 calories per woman. Now, the calorie intake, if it was halved, you would be losing somewhere in the region of about 1 to 2 pound a week. If you want that in kilos, that would be about 0.5 to a kilo per week. Okay, I'm not advocating that you starve yourself to lose weight. If you want to lose weight, get on a better eating program, get on a better exercise regime, and I don't know, try to convert your current fat mass into muscle mass. Okay, although muscle mass does actually weigh more than fat. So as you start to do that, you may lose some and then start gaining again. Don't be put off, you will look much better for it. Okay, just some ideas of calorie intake. If you went to McDonald's and had a medium Big Mac meal, you could be looking at roughly half your daily intake. Okay, it's 1,080 calories. Again, it's an average. A banana is somewhere in the region of about 90 calories. A bottle of wine is somewhere in the region of about 80 calories. 100 grams of rice, I don't know what that would be in... I do actually know what that would be, but I can't be bothered to work it out for you. But a portion of rice, it would be somewhere in the region of about 130 calories. So let's just say if you had nothing but rice to live on all day, you would need somewhere in the region of about 2.5 kilos. 2 kilos. Let's say 2 kilos would probably do you of rice, and that would be what would that be? 4, 8. Oh no, 2, 4. 5, about £5 of rice per day to just literally get you up to your calorie intake on that. A bottle of Coke would be about 380 calories, but that's a litre bottle of Coke. So if you had the 2 litre bottle, you would be talking about 6, 7, 60, something like that. So yeah, and obviously I used the wine and the Coke examples because sometimes your liquid intake will add calories to your calorie intake as well. So you have to bear that in mind when you are thinking about survival and your calorie intakes for your day. Yeah, so if you've got an abundant supply of oranges and you're living off orange juice during the autumn months or just after your orange harvest, then your orange juice will be giving you calories as well. Now, I did make a point of living on rice for a day, okay, and how much you'd roughly need to live on rice for a day. Now, you can't do that. Unfortunately, rice is packed with all sorts of stuff, wonderful stuff that we need to live, but it won't have all the stuff you need to live. That's why people say have a balanced diet. Okay, have fruit, have vegetables, have meat, have rice. Okay, because you will get all the different things you need. For example, rabbits, you might have an abundance of rabbits. You can eat rabbits raw, you don't have to cook them. They are a nice, soft, tender meat. You don't have to cook it or improve it in any way. You can just eat it as it is. Again, it's not something I've tried yet. Maybe one day, but you can do that apparently, so I've been told. But unfortunately, rabbits do miss vital vitamins and minerals which the human body does need to survive. So you can't live on just rabbit. You need something else, preferably with that in. Now, we will be going into looking at food and what the best types of food for survival are and what types of food for survival you can get and all that sort of thing in a later video. I'm going to be doing 2 or 3 spur off videos from this little one video. Okay, but this is just a quick basic rule of thumb video. And so after we have got our food and our water, we need some sort of shelter. Okay, now the shelter, again, will depend on what you are planning for. If you're planning for horrific floods, it's not going to be a good idea to build yourself an underground bunker. If you're planning for volcanic eruptions randomly everywhere in the world, well, you're going to need to be on the move because you might have set yourself up in a place where a volcano might appear close by, which means you have to move away from it. So you need to have a portable type of shelter. But generally speaking, if it keeps you out of the weather, out of the wind, out of the rain, out of the snow, if it is snowing, it's good enough. Now, you might be bugging in, you might be bugging out. Again, the shelter is your shelter. After your shelter, you need tools. Tools for doing what you think you need for survival. There's no point watching some sort of prepping program and everyone keeps harping on about getting a solar generator where you think from the result of an asteroid impact or a massive volcanic eruption, maybe a nuclear war, maybe a tilt of the planet's axis and somehow get thrown into some sort of cosmic winter or there's a mass amount of particulate up in the atmosphere which blocks out the sun, your solar generator is no good. Yeah, perhaps you should have gone down the wind turbine route after all. But you got to plan for what you got to plan what you think is most likely going to happen, why you are prepping for that particular thing. Some things will cross over into other things. Okay, most power generation will cross over, and the more different types of power generation you have, probably the better. Now, some scenarios will mean that the only sort of power generation you'll be able to have is a windmill or a water mill, which you're relying on natural sources of energy gathering, and you won't be able to convert it into electric. But that will be, again, for future videos when I actually start digging into various different scenarios in a little bit more depth. But tools, think about what your specific situation is going to be. Think about what special tools you might need for that. If you live in a wooded area, for example, you might be looking into buying some sap taps, tree taps, whatever they're called, so you can gather the syrup or the sap out of those trees during the winter months and then converting it into syrup, thus into sugar and so on. Okay, so that concludes my video for now, and I will be doing spur off videos off this one over the next week or so. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you a little bit. Thank you very much and goodbye.